So, you're the last Dragonborn. You've undertaken the trials set forth by the Greybeards. You've found the two remaining members of the Blades, deciphered Alduin's Wall, read an Elder Scroll, learned the ancient shout of Dragonrend, and you've traveled to the Nord afterlife of Sovngarde. You've come so far, ready to face Alduin the World Eater. And before you know it, it's over. I love Skyrim. I love a lot of its quests, but that final battle with Alduin has always been very anticlimactic. Today, we're taking a look at a Skyrim creation that looks to address this, and give us a more fleshed out experience in Sovngarde as well. This is Dragonslayer, Quest and Fight Expansion by Jayserpa, changing up the final battle with Alduin with new mechanics, bringing more characters to Sovngarde, and hopefully giving you an improved ending to Skyrim's main questline. This creation comes in at 300 credits, approximately $3 USD. It includes new voice acting for a few characters, new interactions with existing heroes in Sovngarde's Hall, and moments that are meant to acknowledge and even reward your actions in the rest of the game. For those of you on Xbox who are worried about this eating up a lot of your available mod space, this creation comes in at just under 7 megabytes. The Dragonslayer expansion is available for both PC and Xbox systems, but because of the new voice lines, it isn't available for PlayStation. I did receive a copy of the creation from Jayserpa himself, who was also kind enough to answer a few questions that I had, not only about this creation, but also in regards to his free mods. If you're not already familiar with him, Jay has an extensive catalog of mods, and he continues to release more free works. Since the release of his Dragonslayer expansion, he's already released a brand new mod, and I'll talk about this a little bit more at the end of the video. I want to start by covering the new content added specifically to Sovngarde. While the actual fight with Alduin is anticlimactic, I've always been much more disappointed by how little interaction we had in the Nord afterlife. This is where heroes of countless centuries have come, to celebrate their achievements, to be honored in the halls of Shor himself. And once we enter the hall, the actual conversations here are incredibly short-lived and limited. Mind you, this creation isn't giving us new quests in Sovngarde, but it does aim to give us a few more interactions, and to give us some new characters from other Elder Scrolls games. In the vanilla game, there were a total of 5 named characters that you could meet in the mists of Sovngarde as you make your way to the Hall of Valor. In this creation, that number can go up to 22, many of which are followers in the base game. Having them brought to Sovngarde gives them a few new lines, using repurposed vanilla dialogue. This list includes Lydia, Uthgerd, Sven, Eric the Slayer, and many more Nords from the base game. If you cure Farkas and Vilkas of their lycanthropy, they can appear in Sovngarde as well. But this obviously means that any of them need to have died in order to appear here. For any of your former followers now lost in the mist, they can take part in the fight against Alduin, and they might even fall during it, as Alduin has come seeking more souls in order to grow his power. Entering the Hall of Valor itself, we get some new characters and interactions. As usual, Ysgramor is the first to greet us, but he's been given some new dialogue options. Should you have completed the companion's questline, you can show him Wuthrad, and you can tell him that you're the newest Harbinger. He's been given the carved Nordic armor, which more closely resembles his statue's appearance. The creation also adds a new book into the world, which tells of Ysgramor's legendary Storm Atronach bear. Reading this book will let you ask Ysgramor about this tale, asking if there's any truth to it, in which he gives a fairly vague answer.
Yes. Gods, I've lost count of the days. It feels like an age has passed.
There's several copies of the book throughout the game, but I found one at Skyhaven Temple. Speaking with Olaf One-Eye gives some new dialogue as well, in which you can tell him that you defeated his skeletal form, assuming that you completed the Bard's College quest, of course. Like Ysgramor, his armor's been changed to better reflect his appearance in Skyrim. Both Ysgramor and Olaf use vanilla lines, but it still gives us some more chances to interact with them, even briefly. There are a total of 3 newly voiced characters in this, and to me, that's what helps the Hall of Valor stand out much more. The first of these is Ulfgar the Unending, a character from the Blood Moon expansion for Morrowind. Ulfgar was the original owner of the great sword Stormfang, and in life he had sought the entrance to Sovngarde. He was slain by the Nerevarine, granting him access to the Nord land of the dead at long last. In this creation, Ulfgar recounts his tales from Solstheim, and he speaks fondly of his duel against the Nerevarine.
Then, one day, I met a strong warrior who gave me what I sought the most, a way to Sovngarde. Death in glorious battle. Ah, to be slain by the Nerevarine. What a great honor that was.
Should you have Stormfang in your possession, you can show it to him. He'll be proud to know that it's wound up with someone like the Dragonborn.
By sure, it is indeed. I'm glad to see it's found its way to you. May Stormfang bring you glory, friend.
The second of the new characters added comes from the Elder Scrolls Online, that being Lyris Titanborn, part Nord, part Giant. And yes, they made sure to take her heritage into account, and she'll even comment on her height, should you ask.
Huh. You're about to face the World Eater himself, and that's what you're thinking about? Fine. If you must know, my father was part giant. Can we move on now?
She'll talk about her adventures from the Second Era, fighting against Molag Bal, and how she's honored to now rest in Sovngarde after a lifetime of adventures. The third and final of the newly voiced characters is Jurgen Windcaller, who appears in Sovngarde in the base game, albeit with much less to say. By revoicing him, we have the chance to add new conversation topics into this, allowing us to ask him why he created the Way of the Voice, and even ask him what he thinks of Parthenax.
Our Thuum once shook the world, until we were punished for our insolence. For 7 years I meditated in silence, and the truth became clear. Peace is the highest calling of the Way of the Voice, and through it, we honor the gods. Parthenax walks a path few can tread. Power turned to wisdom, fury tempered by meditation. His peace is a constant battle against his own nature, a true embodiment of the Way of the Voice.
Should you mention that you retrieved his horn, he'll tell you to return to his tomb in Ustengrav once you return to Skyrim. Doing so will grant you a free dragon soul. You'll want to make sure you speak with all these characters before leaving the hall to fight Alduin, as you won't be able to return. But now, let's talk about that boss fight. This creation was built with ease of use in mind. It can be installed at any point, pre-Alduin fight, of course. One of the goals for this was to acknowledge your actions and time spent within Skyrim, and reward you or punish you accordingly. With this creation, it's not necessarily advised to rush to the end of the main questline as quickly as possible, but waiting too long before heading to Sovngarde will introduce its own separate challenges. Alduin now has 4 new tiers of difficulty, based on the time passed in-game before fighting him. To fight him in his original base state, you'll need to reach Sovngarde in less than 30 in-game days. For each subsequent month in-game, up to 4 months in total, Alduin will go up a tier, in each of which he'll receive extra health and he'll deal extra damage to the player. At his highest tier, which takes place if you passed 4 months in-game, Alduin will have 2,000 extra HP, and he'll deal 1.8 times damage to the player. These tiers can be seen visually as well, with Alduin growing in physical size with each new stage, showing that he's really had time to grow in power. So, you might be thinking to yourself, if he grows stronger the longer I wait, why wouldn't I just rush to Sovngarde then? The Dragonslayer expansion also adds a few new mechanics for Alduin's fight, one of which being that he'll summon the shades of all the dragon priests in Skyrim that you haven't yet defeated, hence encouraging you to explore and to wipe out the risen remnants of Alduin's dragon cult before heading to Sovngarde. The creation adds a new journal to Skyhaven Temple, which details the locations of all the dragon priests, giving you a convenient checklist in case you're looking to make the fight at least a little bit easier. This doesn't give you a quest for them, but rather is meant to serve as a way to check in-game. Obviously, you can just Google their locations, but this is a little bit more immersive. It's worth noting that killing the dragon priests in Sovngarde doesn't kill them in Skyrim itself, as these are intended as projections of their power, and not their true corporeal forms. So you can fight Alduin and these shades, and then go back to Skyrim and kill and loot the priests afterwards. During the fight, the Dragon Priests will be summoned in waves. That way, you won't be fighting all of them at once. That being said, I found the Dragon Priest Shades to be much more of a challenge than Alduin himself, as they dealt much more damage to me than he did. And that's just from their base damage numbers. The creation doesn't rebalance the Dragon Priests at all. If you've already defeated all the Dragon Priests before going to Sovngarde, Alduin will summon the shades of 2 skeletal dragons to aid him in the later stages of the battle. And even if you manage to kill Alduin while his summons are up, he'll remain in a down state until they're defeated, upon which his death animation will play and you'll complete the quest as usual. In addition to all of these potential summons, there's a couple other mechanics intended to draw out the fight and make it a bit more unique. Alduin can re-summon the mist during the battle, requiring you and the other Dragonborn to use clear skies just as you did at the beginning of the encounter. Using ranged attacks will cause Alduin to summon fire around you, making it so you can't simply stand in place and pick him off with archery or magic. Grounding Alduin with Dragon Rend and then rushing up to him comes with its own risks as well, as Alduin can now use Fusroda to knock you back, in order to prevent you from keeping him in a constant Dragon Rend loop. If anything, that was one of the reasons why the vanilla fight was so easy. You would just keep Alduin grounded, and stagger him again and again until he died. I played through the final fight a few different times, to see the different difficulty tiers, to see the Dragon Priest summons, and so on. Each time that I played through it, I played on Adept difficulty, intentionally on a pretty average character. I didn't really want to go in with a super overpowered character for this. Fighting Alduin at his first tier grants him no extra health or damage dealt, which means you're fighting him in the same state that you would in the vanilla game, which means that any increased challenge comes instead from these new mechanics. The fight does feel much better paced, with Alduin having more chances to take off, to fly around Sovngarde and even kill the other NPCs in the mists. I had never seen Alduin fly around so much, since in the vanilla game he'd just never take off again once you hit him with that first Dragon Rend. Fighting Alduin at his 4th tier feels like a much more legendary battle. He's huge, like to the point where it takes up the whole screen, and it feels much more like you're fighting this mythical creature, rather than just another dragon. I was actually really worried that the additional 2000 HP was going to be too much, and that it might drag out the fight to a point where it felt tedious. But instead, I really liked it. This easily presented the most challenge, but it didn't make the fight too hard either. It's often hard trying to find that balance when designing something like this, but I think Jayserpa did a great job at enhancing the fight in a way that still felt like a natural addition to the game. With Alduin finally defeated, you'll have a chance to speak with any survivors of the fight. In my case, this was Ulfgerd and Lydia. Lydia wishes you well, thanking you for freeing her, and telling you to take care of yourself. Fortunately for me, the game didn't take into account that I was the one who killed them. I feel like that would have made for a much more awkward experience. I think this creation really highlights what Jayserpa is best known for, expanding on vanilla quests in a way that feels natural, as opposed to trying to fully rewrite them or even overcomplicate them. You're not gonna get an experience that's unrecognizable from Skyrim with his mods and creations. You're gonna get something that feels like Skyrim, but better. I really enjoyed playing this. It absolutely improved the Sovngarde experience. My conversations with Lyris, Ulfgar, and Jurgen are probably my favorite parts of this, but that's partially because I love getting to interact with new characters. The voice acting for all these was really well done, with Lyris sounding pretty close to Jennifer Hale's portrayal of her in ESO. I really liked the conversations with Ulfgar. And it's not like you need to have played Blood Moon in order to understand it or enjoy it. And I'm really glad that we got new conversations with Jurgen Windcaller, who even comments on our use of Dragon Rend and how he recognizes it as a necessary evil. I do kinda wish that we had a slightly different reward for visiting Jurgen Windcaller's tomb though. A free dragon soul is nice and all, but I almost wish we had gotten some sort of active effect instead. Just to have something that's a little more unique. Maybe if they gave us a new buff called Way of the Voice, showing that Jurgen has accepted us as one of his followers. As for the fight against Alduin itself, I liked how they incorporated mechanics that made sense and didn't feel out of place. Having to clear the mists throughout the fight works really well, as that's what kicked off the fight to begin with. Alduin using different shouts to try and interrupt you, or to protect himself, helps to show his own mastery of the Thu'um. Summoning the Shades of the Dragon Priests is probably the most unique of these new mechanics, and it serves as a good way to give us some new enemies in the fight. I kinda wish that we could have seen more of the heroes join us for the battle. Maybe have Lyris join us, for instance. That way we can get one more conversation with her afterwards. Or have Ysgramor and others join us as well, just to give the appearance of an even larger and more epic fight. The only potential downside here is that it would potentially make the fight too easy if you had that many allies pitching in. The only other change or addition that I think could have made this even better is if we could see the remaining Shades of Sovngarde make their way to the Hall of Valor in order to begin their new lives here, just as a means of helping to further illustrate that you've now saved Sovngarde. Like I said earlier, I want to comment a bit on Jayserpa's plans for Skyrim moving forward. The Dragonslayer expansion is currently his second paid Skyrim creation, and on the Nexus, he has over 70 free mods currently. Jay has been an active member of the modding scene for years, with his quest expansion mods being a particular favorite of mine. They added a lot to my recent modded playthrough from a few years back. Even with this foray into creations, Jay will not be stepping away from free mods at all. And he already has some new ones in the works. He actually released a new mod adding new illusion spells right after the release of the Dragonslayer creation. By releasing a few of these paid creations here and there, Jay will have the ability to hire professional voice actors, to work with Bethesda, which has been a dream of his, and to put some money towards his bills in order to continue to work on his free mods. And he's trying to make his creations as fairly priced as possible. I think $3 to expand upon that final battle and give us some new characters is ultimately really fair, especially when you take the new voice acting and what that costs into account. There are some mods out there that aim to change up the final battle in similar ways, and funny enough, several of these mods are compatible with this creation. Afterlife is a mod that will send Nords to Sovngarde upon death. End Times is a mod that'll give us a countdown until Alduin will have gained enough power in order to eat the world and force a game over cutscene. Cult of the World Eater is a mod that rewards you for killing dragon priests by making Alduin weaker. And all three of these mods are actually fully compatible with the Dragonslayer expansion right out of the box. No other patches or downloads are required. The most in-depth mod out there that overhauls Alduin's boss fight is World Eater Beater, and this adds much more dramatic and unique mechanics for the fight, like being devoured by Alduin and having to fight him from within. This won't be fully compatible with the creation should you decide to use both, but they also have fairly different goals in mind in how they seek to change up that final fight. But if you're sticking to just free mods, you'll still have quite a few choices in order to mimic what this creation sets out to do. And of course, make sure to check out some of Jayserpa's free mods. You won't regret it. But that's gonna be all for today. As always, thank you for watching. If you'd like to support the channel, check out the Patreon or the YouTube memberships, both of which get access to my official Discord server, as well as early access to most new videos. And if you'd like to watch me play something other than Skyrim, make sure to check out the streams at twitch.tv/0periodproductions. I'll see you guys next time. Bye bye.